It is 11 o'clock. Good morning.
Morning. Hello.
So I just have someone in my background here saying that they can't get into the live stream. So let me look and see. Do you see it showing up on your end?
Let me check.
I'm there.
It is 11 o'clock. Good morning. All right. So
Cool.
We're all set then.
We're all set. Yeah, good morning.
I have to say, someone in my background here saying that they can't get into the live stream.
Yeah, that's the thing. We have to turn off the sound, because then when we get some questions and you have Facebook on your computer, then it just keeps doing strange things.
So it's really difficult when you have people joining the live stream who are physically with you, because then you've got their sound and our own sound, but that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, welcome.
So I have to say, I think this is a great way either to end the week or to kick the week off. And I'm not sure, is Sunday the end of last week or is it the beginning of the new week?
I think it's actually the beginning of the new week, isn't it?
All right. Well then, let's kick off the week in style.
Yes.
Here, Sunday morning
Mimosas. Sunday Mimosas.
All right, so I have to ask, what are you using in your mixture?
Well, actually, I'm using peach.
Ooh.
Not orange juice. I was cheating, but it's still orangey looking.
All right, that works for me though. And for the bubbles?
Prosecco.
Which number one choice, I have to say. I have, because I'm in Spain at the moment, using a Spanish cava. But I have to say, Prosecco and cava are probably the best choices, or a good German sect, because they're fruitier and lighter than real champagne, right?
But I do prefer Prosecco, really.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So kicking off the new week, let's close off the past weeks. What have you been hearing?
Well, actually, I was really talking to a lot of people about what their opinion is about Alphaweibchen, and I was in a really fun birthday party yesterday where I was invited and hardly knew anybody. And so it's like, when you want to do small talk, it's kind of like, what do you talk about? And now, since we have our podcast, of course, I'm always asking, so what do you think about an Alphaweibchen? So
it doesn't stop with the audio collage, huh?
It's no, and it's interesting. It's you have always 50-50. You have these opinions that, Alphaweibchens, like looking around, is there one? And then you have the ones that say it's cool to be one. How about you? Did you have any more discussions about what they are and not?
I've had a lot of discussions, and I have to say, we've posted about it in the newsletter and stuff like that. It really is a mixed bag, that people who have had bad experiences and have interacted with some of those, those bitchy Alphaweibchen, or those people who will do anything at any cost to get ahead. It's really an ingrained belief that these are kind of terrible people. And, I have to admit, I don't like dealing with those people either. And so there's that. But then there are a lot of people who keep going, hey, this is so cool that you're doing this, that you're having this podcast and you're sharing your experiences and these ideas about what a positive Alphaweibchen or an alpha person should be. Because there's so much room for people to do more than they're doing today. And people need inspiration, I think, especially these days.
Yeah, and you're totally right, especially when you think that someone who's taking a leading role doesn't automatically have to be a very egocentric person who's just running all over all other people. And so there was one comment that we got for our audio collage about when I was talking about the mares, the alpha Pferdchen. And there was like, that they're always the ones that are biting and hitting all the other horses and just being really nasty and mean. And I thought, do I have this pink colored idea of how romantic this alpha mare is? And I did some research on it, and it was so interesting because I found out that actually they are being selected by the whole pack, I say. And if she gets really, really mean, she won't even survive. So that was very interesting. So she certainly has to take the lead, and she's the one, when there is danger around, she's the one to say, okay, everybody, let's go and run. But if she's all the time nasty, they're going to, make sure that she doesn't stay the alpha mare. So it's, there are different things about it. And I think it's when we're leading, especially, we see that also, that if you're always just pushing and kicking and not being empathetic, that it's not, you can't be successful forever. It just doesn't work.
No, for sure not. Hey, Peggy, so I'm sorry, I'm looking a little bit distracted, but I'm not accessing the Facebook thing at the moment.
I can see that. Hello, Klaus Hermann, Sally Bye. Hello, Sally. Sally Bye. Katrin Renz. So I can see that some people are joining. We're very happy you guys are joining.
Yeah.
So if you have questions, please just type in some questions. We'd love to answer some. What is your opinion?
Yeah, exactly. What have you been hearing or talking about? And I think this is the fun thing, is the more that I talk to people, they go back and talk to other people, and then they say, hey, I was having this conversation the other day. And that's very, very fun.
Yeah, guys. So if you have a question, if you want us to comment on something, just type it, because I have my phone right next to me, and I can see if anyone writes anything.
And I finally have got mine up now, running too. Okay. So we can, between the two of us, we should be able to see the comments. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, we're also open to other advice. We talked about our perfect mimosas, but if other people have a better mixture, let us know what your thoughts are. And that would be a question coming back to the mimosa. How much juice and how much bubbles?
Well, I'm honest. I have very little juice and a lot of bubbles. It's kind of light. And that's the good thing when you use peach juice, because it's really thick.
There you go. There you go. So I'm, long drinks, it's usually 2 fingers on mimosa, because this is kind of a wide glass. I'm at about 3 fingers juice. So 1/3, 2/3, I would say. Is probably.
Well, we should say cheers one more time to everyone who's joined us here.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hope you're having a great Sunday.
Yes. And we could also ask, so how do you guys start your perfect Sunday and start into the week? Like we said before, does Monday start the week or Sunday? I wonder. I know in some areas of the world, today is already Monday, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what. Yeah, start of the week, end of the week. As long as it's a good Sunday, it doesn't matter, right?
And as long as we start it in a nice way.
Yeah, exactly. So other than that, what about you? So you were having conversations last night with people.
Exactly. And so there were some interesting comments about it. And it was also actually because of, it's probably everybody gets bored of this whole COVID-19 thing, but I did talk also to one lady. She's a top level executive manager in a big enterprise. And she was also talking about how difficult it is to be a leader now with all these virtual meetings. It's like, for us right now, I think it's amazing. You're sitting in Mallorca, I'm sitting here in Germany in beautiful Böblingen, and we can, have this live talk. But if you always have to manage your employees like that and your team, it does get really difficult, because you just don't have that personal interaction. And so we did talk about that, how difficult it is then to be like a leader and to be an alpha, whatever alpha. But
actually, we have a really cool episode coming up where we talk about that. So we talk about an expert in leadership, talk with an expert in leadership. And one of the key questions that we want to bring into that is, how do you be a good leader in a virtual world? And not even just a good leader, but even just a good person. When you're missing the human connection because everything is done virtually, how do you substitute for that? Because it's hard on people. It really is.
And how do you work on your behavior also? Because it's like, how do you present yourself? And I've been holding trainings the last few weeks where people have to sell virtually now. And it's the very same thing. It's like you're looking at the screen and it's all black. People just don't always turn on their camera because maybe they don't feel comfortable about it. And then all you have is like this little video part where you can present your personality and try to be as empathetic as you can. or possibly can in this new work, new environment. It's a challenge. It's a big challenge. So
where's everybody else dialing in from?
Well, Sally, I think is in Germany. So it looks like most of people are in Germany.
Most of the people in Germany. Well, okay, time zone.
Well, unless Chris Harris, I can't I can't tell.
Okay. Chris, where are you from? Is he answering?
We can actually, no, he's not answering.
No.
Maybe he's not listening anymore.
I think also with the delay. By the time he gets an answer, we'll be on to
Yeah, right. So how was your week, Jaimi?
It was a struggle. I mean, life is so good in so many ways. I'm going to be the last person to complain, but it still can be a struggle. And I think part of it is exactly that missing human connection. I've gotten very into all of this brain science, this neuroscience stuff about how does the brain work and how does that impact the way that we interact with other people and the way that we feel. And, we're missing a lot of really important brain chemicals these days because we don't interact with people directly. And so things like oxytocin, it doesn't get released. Right. And it's hard to then to feel good about other people when you're not having that. And so, we talked about at the beginning of the year, you invited me to this 21-day meditation challenge.
Yes.
And I had never meditated before in my life. And this is something that I now am making a focused, concerted effort, even if it's only a 5-minute or 10-minute meditation, to really do it every day. And I feel like that's helping me a lot to regenerate some of those feelings that you're missing by being isolated, because you mentally reconstruct that. And so that's been really cool. That's been a good learning through all of this.
I mean, I personally think there are a lot of good things about it as well. Of course, it's really terrible and it's not something we all were expecting or nobody really wants. But on the other hand, I think it's really this kind of slowing down and just being a bit more quiet is something just to kind of sit back and rethink also all the expectations that we have about performance and how we have to be and how it's very, very loud and everything has to happen very quickly. And so now we're just forced in holding back something like when you're talking about meditation, when you think of all these monks, that's what they do. And we just I used to think, oh my God, I can never do that. But now it's also something for me to calm down when I think, oh, I can't handle this. And it's getting really all over me. So then to sit down and kind of go inside is so helpful. And also to find out who and what you really are and how you feel about yourself, and not so much on the outside.
Absolutely. And I think that on the one hand, it helps to regain balance. And on the other hand, it kind of helps to reset your mindset in a positive way so that you're actively going after things. And I was having a conversation with my husband yesterday, actually, and we were talking about people who are just comfortable in what they're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, it feels good to be comfortable. I mean, I've been sitting here at the finca this week and I'm really comfortable. I'm enjoying the nice weather. I'm enjoying, working in the garden and all of these kind of mundane things that you do in times like this. But it's also a danger because it's easy to fall into that and get sucked into it. And then, you risk becoming complacent. And that's where for a while it feels good, but then longer term, I think you said it somewhere, if you're not moving forward, you're eventually moving back, right? Standing still is moving backwards at some point in time. And so that's where I'm at the stage now. It's like, okay, so what's going to be the next thing? We're doing the podcast, which is a big thing and I love, but what else is going to come in to kind of add more challenge to life, and what's going to be the next big thing to kind of get all of the adrenaline going again and get jazzed up about life. And I think, hopefully the world around us is moving to a point that we're all ready to start embracing that again, because, we've all gotten a little bit slow through this, and the reset is good if we use it to bounce forward. And I love this idea of bouncing forward, not just bouncing back. So let's not go back to normal. Let's go to something better.
Yes. And when I think about what you just were saying is what is the next challenge? What's the next thing we're going to do? I think we talked about this a lot, you and me, we love to get out of our comfort zone and we love to do challenges, but isn't it also a challenge to do exactly what we have to do now? It's like to calm down and to sit back and to be like content with what we are doing right now, knowing that there's not much we can do. I mean, right now it's not the possibility to do the things that we used to do before COVID-19. So this is also for me to really you have to go, sit more still and calm down, because I'm like the one, I used to travel all the time. I was never home. Sometimes for weeks I was gone and running around, which also, it's kind of cool because you're so busy, you're performing all the time, but then you don't really have to think about yourself. So,
and reflection is really important. Absolutely. I agree.
So right now, well, I love to get out of my comfort zone. That's something that I always want to do, which is why we do the podcast, right? But for me right now, I have to get out of my comfort zone to calm down, sit back and like do the meditation and think about myself. It didn't do that so much.
Yeah.
The last few years.
Well, and it's been interesting lately. I've been reading more and more articles about what are we learning through this COVID-19 situation? What are we learning through the new ways of doing our lives, and interesting information that people actually have become more productive, which who would have thought, right, has been coming out. Or, the way that our eating habits have changed. And I read a study about what people are buying in the supermarkets. And, suddenly everybody wants fresh fruits and vegetables, which is super. It's like you can't live healthier than fresh fruits and vegetables. And because everybody is more worried about health, that's driving some of the behaviors, right? And I think it would be great if we all sit down and we reflect and say, okay, so what are the good things that have come of this situation, so that we can, go back to that idea of going back to something better, not back to normal, but what are we going to keep from what we've learned and keep doing that even when things do go back to normal in the way that we can live our lives. Maybe we don't want to live them quite that way anymore.
Yeah, and you're saying normal. So what is normal, right? So we're saying always you hear this is the new normal. But the thing is that we're shifting our focus. So the focus used to be performance and all, achieving more money, more Ansehen, so more acknowledgement, whatever. And all of a sudden with this virus, so we're thinking about health. Wow. I mean, we need a virus to think, like, what should we eat? But I used to be like that, just grab something. I just, grab something from the minibar in the hotel and run down to the exhibition again. Well, now you're just sitting home thinking, okay, so which vegetables, which fruits?
That's the thing. Even when you do start going to the exhibition again, maybe your behavior then is different, so that your whole life then is more fulfilled and is more balanced. And, in the end, you're better off.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, and I think that's the thing that we have to take away is to, that new normal is maybe to be more thoughtful of how we live our life every day and how we get up in the morning and what we do, what's the first thing, just to and this is what I loved about the meditation, that 21-day challenge that we did, is also to just, when you get up in the morning, to just be very happy that you can get out of bed, like to put your 2 feet down and get up and walk around. So, and if you're so busy that you're just, you get up and you run and get your coffee, then you run in the car and just drive off, then they just don't have that time to focus on what we should be grateful for.
Well, grateful and gratitude, that's a big one, right? Is so often we're just always running after the next thing that we don't stop and savor what we have right now. And this is, so I recently took the Science of Wellbeing class from Yale, and there's this big thing about savoring. And one of the things that you can do to feel better about your life is to really acknowledge when you've got something good and to stop and take the time to reflect on it and say, hey, this is really great. Tell somebody else about it, capture it in the moment, and just really, let it sink in how great it is. And so that's a big one. I think the other hope that I have is humanity. I have been on an emotional roller coaster with how inhuman we seem to have become as a society. And I see in the current situation, some of that continues in really dramatic and ugly ways. But a lot of people are learning to be more human and to treat people like humans instead of just performance animals. And so that's kind of my other hope, is that maybe through this, we'll have a bigger appreciation for the people in our lives, the people we interact with, and we'll just start having more empathetic behavior all around. And so I'm, crossing my fingers. I hope that's one of the things that we take forward.
Yeah, I'm with you totally. That's what I hope as well. But I think we're on a good way. I mean, we will always have people that are not empathetic. And it's like when I had this, my mental training education that I did years ago, and I was really arguing with my trainer. I said, well, there are all these bad people out there. We have to get rid of all of them. And he used to say, of course that would be wonderful, but then it's like there will always be people that don't do what we think should be right. But then if there aren't, then we don't have people that do things right. So even it sounds kind of like, maybe a little bit depressing, but still it has to, we always will have bad in order to have good, but I hope we will have more good than bad, and that the bad is not as bad as it.
Well, and, coming back to the whole topic of leadership and stuff, and the fact that, we are getting such an insight into leadership these days, really awful leadership, terrible, appalling examples of leadership. But then on the other hand, people who are so inspiring with the way that they're treating the crisis, the way that they're treating the people through the crisis. And, those are the examples that we want to highlight in some of our episodes. These really great leaders who are alpha people, but they're doing it in the way that, you and I internalize alphaism should be, and not in the way that, these negative perceptions that many people have, not that kind of alpha. We don't want those people anymore. They're always going to be there, but as new people come up and new leaders come up, that they strive to have this more emotional intelligence and this more empathetic approach to the way that they lead. And so, we're getting some great examples of that right now. And that's a good thing.
Right. Very good. And also, and this is something we're talking about in the next episode as well, is of course that everyone is becoming their own leader. So the worse the leadership gets, and the more like all the decisions that are being made that have so much impact on our private life and our what we can do, is the more we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And there is a need and an opportunity and a chance to create your own leadership. Mm-hmm. And to take charge of what you do and the decisions that you make and how you react. And I think that's a very good growth opportunity for everyone.
Well, and on that note, whether you're an alpha or a beta or an omega or however you define yourself, you don't even have to use any of those terms, right? I mean, it's not a requirement, but everybody does lead in some way, shape, or form. And so, honing some of these skills and continuing to develop in the way that you just portray yourself to other people can have a huge impact on the people around you. And so I know we probably should kind of close this off. Do you have any comments there?
Sibylle says, good to see you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Nice to have you online, Sibylle.
I cannot see any comments.
Okay.
But thank you for everyone who's signed up. We're just very happy that you're watching. We hope that you have some fun with us. So cheers to everybody.
Yeah, whether you're drinking a mimosa or any other Sunday morning cocktail, Bloody Marys. I know there are some Bloody Mary fans out there.
Yeah, we said it before. If whoever joined later on, we would love to get some recipes for Sunday mimosas. Any special recipes that you want to share? We're really looking forward.
Well, let's wrap up. What we've talked about, we've kind of bounced around in this live just on a number of different themes. So far on the episodes, we've talked about what an Alphaweibchen is. Mm-hmm. And we've tried to dive into, our interpretation versus other people's interpretations. And there's always going to be a disconnect, right? And that's fine. And not everybody has to be an alpha. And I think that's one of the key takeaways is that, my God, everybody, our big thing is developing. Continuing to do new things and learn new things and keep life exciting and fun. And then we talked about facing fear. Actually, if you haven't listened to the episode from last week, we just dropped the episode on facing fear. And fear is one of those things that makes it hard to do new things. And so the more that we understand about how do you deal with fear effectively, the more that we can go out of our comfort zone and do those things. What's in store next, Peggy? What's our next episode going to be about?
Our next one is going to be about leadership and how we, no, that's the one after that. Okay. it's the jumping into the unknown was the next one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right,
so
right. I'm already one forward.
Yeah, we've got big plans, right? So you can't always know what's coming your way, and just being gutsy enough to jump into it without having 100% plan in place. And then, coming back to leadership, which we've talked a lot about here.
Yeah, and it's all about experience. So it's all the experience you have. And then out of this experience, whether it's good or bad, is how to empower yourself and then how to enhance it. And it's in all the episodes, of course. That's really the basics of it is. And for the one facing fear, if you haven't listened to it, there is a lot about experience. Yes.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we will let you all get back to cheers. Achim, cheers to you too.
Cheers.
I know you're drinking a great mimosa because I made it for you.
So everybody has a wonderful Sunday.
Exactly.
Cool.
Have a great start to the week, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Ciao, ciao.